Hello.
Yeah, hello.
There's always technical difficulties when it comes to technology. We're so glad to have you. Welcome to the Practice Space Facebook. Today,
All right.
everyone, we are going to be interviewing Bishop James Williams. He is a Richmond native. This series that we're doing is called Giving Back to Richmond Natives Giving Back to Their Communities. The topic says it all. So today we have our guest. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself. And you have the floor, sir.
My name is James Williams. I'm born and raised Richmond, California. I had a business there for approximately about 25 years. It was called James Jules. I worked on the WIA board some years back, the Work Enforcement Board. I worked with the Richmond Association. I also was the one that spearheaded the rally around Sean, when the young man that was bitten by the pit bulls at Peary School. I've also worked as a volunteer at Capra High School back, and we also worked with the hashtag We Care when we were escorting the young ladies at the Richmond BART station to their cars to make sure that they were safe, and other things. But I'm just a Richmond native and always trying to share with the community.
That's so amazing. Well, for those that don't know, this is actually my father. So I am the digital strategist at the Practice Space, and we serve our community. And so we are, trying to show that there are Richmond natives giving back to our communities. And so with Bishop James being a leader in the community and being a pillar in many different situations, we decided to interview him today. So just tell us a little bit about your journey as a Richmond native, your journey like kind of growing up, what schools you went to, and just things of that nature.
All right. I actually, growing up, when I was born at, of course, now the destroyed Brookside Hospital. I was raised in what is considered the Iron Triangle, the Santa Fe neighborhood, as well as in the Hilltop area. My school, of course, schooling started when it was not called the West Contra Costa Unified School District. It was called the Richmond Unified School District. I actually went to Lincoln Elementary right there on 6th and Chancellor. Also, I attended Pinot Junior High School, which is now called Pinot Middle. I went to Kennedy High School and finished out at, now that's no longer in existence, Harry Elms High School. On to Contra Costa College, Little Hills College. So that was my journey far as the educational system in Richmond. But Richmond has been excellent. Like I said, I've lived in the St. John Apartments. I've lived on 7th and Pennsylvania. I've lived in Hilltop, floated around in Hercules for a while, and back into the Santa Fe district of Richmond. Like I said, just a Richmond native, love the city, I love Richmond, California. I'm passionate about it. I would like to see, of course, some greater things take place, but Richmond is my home, born and raised, and I will always love it.
Okay. What's one thing that you feel was a hindrance in you trying to succeed, like being from Richmond, or if anything?
I don't really think anything far as a hindrance from Richmond, because I think that every lesson learned was a lesson that was positive, that actually made me who I am. And I just think that being from Richmond, it just teaches you how to fight wherever you find yourself, that you're willing to fight to stay afloat.
Got it. Okay, I like that. If you had advice for a young man right now who's living in Richmond and he does feel like he's facing a lot of challenges, or a young woman, they're like, okay, I want to succeed. I know what I want to do, but I feel like the odds are against me based upon where I live. What would you say to them?
What I would say is that I will stop looking at what is negative. I would say look at whatever the struggle is part of the process for your purpose and your destiny.
Okay, that's really good. I like that word, destiny. Okay, what would you say? Okay, so now we're in a pandemic, and you're a community leader. You're back to the community. What does your community service look like? What does giving back look like? You kind of gave us a synopsis of the things that you do, but how does that look like now in the pandemic?
In the pandemic, what it looks like, first of all, is being safe, practicing your social distancing, practice wearing your mask, washing your hands, being aware of your environment, making sure that you are controlling your actions and your whereabouts so that you can be accountable to your community, as well as looking at those around you and helping in whatever capacity that you can to make sure they're doing the same thing. Because a lot of times communities, what is considered less influential or stricken with poverty, feels like there is no hope. Well, there is always hope if you band together and everybody does their part. That means that if I'm concerned about my neighbor and my neighbor is concerned about their neighbor, then we can battle it from a strategic standpoint because we are consistently doing what is conducive for our community.
Okay, so would you say just like in the pandemic, you're just still doing the same things, but just at a safer distance and just making sure you're more...
Correct.
Got it. That's good. I think a lot of times we feel like because the world changes, we have to stop doing the positive things that we're doing. And I think that doesn't have to happen. We can continue to do positive things. We just have to adjust to what's going on. Perfect. If you are in the room and you have questions, definitely leave them in the comments. I have another question for you. As a public speaker, what advice would you give a young public speaker? Because we all know public speaking is not something that's easy to do. So what advice would you give?
The advice is to make sure that you are very well versed in your subject, and that realizing that you have the mic, you have the floor. And as long as you are prepared and you articulate your subject and your not only your subject, but the foundation of whatever the topic that you are expounding on, if you feel confident, then you take a place in the room that is facing the crowd, that you can fixate yourself on that position until you become at ease with delivering the message that you're given. So again, even if you're feeling a little nervous, remember that you have the floor, and that if you express yourself from the standpoint of knowing your material, then it becomes a whole lot easier.
I like that. I like that. Do you think public speaking has always come easy to you? Is that something that you were like, the advice that you gave, what kind of brought that about? What made you feel more comfortable public speaking?
Actually, I think for public speaking, for me, it wasn't so much easy, but it was just something naturally that I did because I grew up in the church. So I was always up in front of, from Easter speeches, Christmas speeches, Sunday school reviews. And so therefore, and then as I went into ministry and dealing with those that even when I first began that would actually purposely get up and walk out of the sanctuary while I was speaking. It really, even though it didn't feel good at the time, it was part of the process preparing me for my purpose and destiny, so that it did not become a distraction when I was giving or presenting. So therefore, now I just realize that whatever it is that you're doing, someone may not agree, but you still have to give the knowledge and the point that you're making in its entirety and feel comfortable about what you're doing.
Got it. That's good. That's definitely something I was taught. I would say, as a public speaker myself, at first it was very nerve-wracking to be told to get up and speak in front of people. But I think that it's definitely a skill that I'm glad that I acquired at a younger age, because it helps like shape things. And even if you don't necessarily start public speaking at a young age, you realize when you get into it, like, okay, I can do this. I can push through this. So I think that's great. We're coming to an end. This interview has been great. If you are in the comments, if you're watching on live, thank you guys for being here. If you have any questions, definitely comment them. I see people commenting. Thank you guys so much for being here. As we end, what is one thing that you would want us to remember about Richmond natives giving, or people in communities just in general, giving back to their communities? So the communities they were raised in, what do you want them to remember about that?
What I would always like for individuals to remember is never minimize your accomplishments, never minimize who you are or where you come from, because those are the characteristics and the process that has allowed you the amenities that you now enjoy. And so if you understand that even if it's adversity makes you become stronger, adversity makes you strive, adversity builds character. So if you always remember where you come from, then you can always understand where you are, and you can also push forward to where you're going. So again, it's just understanding that the process still only perpetuates me to my purpose.
That was good. The process only perpetuates me to my purpose. I like that. Okay, we have a question for you. The question from Diana is, what advice would you give your younger self? So younger James, what would you tell that man?
If I was talking to the younger James would have said, stay focused and more consistent in my education and my giving back even more to my community.
Got it. That's good. I like that. Adversity builds character. That's good. That's good. I'm gonna have to put that in my notes. Oh my God, that was so good. Thank you for being here. Does anybody have any more questions while we have Bishop James Williams? He does like to talk and give us stories and give us knowledge and understanding. So if you have a question, definitely leave it in the comments. Again, we are the Practice Space. Our mission is to change the lives of the communities that we are in through public speaking. A lot of times we have voices and we just don't know how to use them or are afraid to use them. And I think that it's good to continue to do so and be confident in that. We have another question. What is the best tip for feeling comfortable? What's the best tip for feeling comfortable in front of a crowd?
The best tip that I would give is, like I said, is that I would only talk about what I really know. And only where I've come from, and the rest of the conversation will pretty much develop around that information. And by that time, you should have come to some kind of calm and ease, because you're only dealing with, again, what you know and what you've experienced, and never try to go beyond that.
Got it. That's really good. I think definitely being the expert, I think a lot of times when you're giving a speech, you like try to make a bunch of different points and you're like, okay, well, do I really know about this? But just like focusing on things that you're an expert in. I feel like a lot of times when we know things, we can speak more confidently to them. So I like that question. I like that response. Any more questions before we let Bishop James go? That is our CEO, founder of the Practice Space. What a wonderful organization. Looks like we don't have any more questions. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for letting us interview you. This series is definitely going to continue, everyone. So if you are tapped into this live right now, definitely tap in the next time. We're going to be going live on Instagram and Facebook a lot more often, just to be interactive with our community, because that's something that we love to do. Even through the pandemic, we're doing it virtually. Thank you guys all for being here and have a good one. Bye-bye.